Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna the Medium, and also an intuitive coach. Just very quickly, these are obviously general readings and they will not apply to all of you. So take bits and pieces that apply and throw away the rest. Listen to your other signs, your moon sign and your rising sign, as well as your sun sign, as these more often than not will paint a more complete picture of what is happening in your life. What I have noticed over the last year and a half or so from you is that these readings, generally speaking, will not make much sense to you at the very beginning, but they almost always make complete sense to you at the end of the month or the beginning of next. And I have many of you email me personally saying that it made no sense to you at the beginning, and then halfway through or the third week into the month, you listened again and you were shocked how everything was coming out the way it was said. So always listen at the end of the month, because I feel that will connect with you much more so. Also, these are general. I cannot connect with every single one of you. There's thousands of you watching. So if you send me a comment asking how this fits in your life, it's impossible for me to answer that unless, of course, we connect on a one-on-one level. And if that's what you would like, that information is down below, and I would be honored to have a session with you. And I think that's all I have. I wish you a wonderful month of November. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching, for liking and sharing. I look forward to seeing you in December. And for those of you who are celebrating holidays, like in the United States, the Thanksgiving Day, I wish you a wonderful holiday. And without further ado, let's move on to the actual readings. Hello, beautiful Taurians. This is going to be a reading for the month of November 2017. First and foremost, let me just say that I feel very excited about this reading. I know many of you, as myself, because I'm also a Taurus, have been going through a bit of a waiting game and not knowing exactly where you are going long term. Not all of you, but for many of you, yes. So you have been feeling perhaps a little bit stuck, perhaps a little bit suspended, perhaps a little bit in a status quo, and not quite knowing how you are going to emerge. And there feels to be a shift or a movement in energy for many of you in a month of November, and I feel also some of you in December. The image that was being shown to me, so I'm going to go through channel information first. I have a couple of pages here. The image that was shown to me was the Fool. And as we know, the Fool is a brand new journey. It's a brand new energy that isn't directed in any specific direction. There is an element of starting something new. There's an element of taking a risk. There's an element of wanting or needing to do something new, something fresh, something different, but not perhaps knowing yet what that was or what that is. I also felt that for many of you, the wait is over. And I actually heard it in this context. They actually said to me, the wait is over. I also felt very much like many of you are going to get lucky. Now, what do I mean by this? I actually hear the word eureka moment. So whatever that means to you, it could mean epiphany to some of you. It could mean you get lucky landing a job or landing a relationship or something you've been waiting for. There's definitely an element of luck that is being shown to me in a month of November and December. So it looks like I'm covering a bit of December here. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in December. But I also heard you say to me, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, I can't believe it. And it wasn't, I can't believe it. It was, I can't believe it. There was a sense of excitement with this. I also felt and saw that many of you will be figuring out what to do with it all. It very much felt to me like many of you will become inspired with some sort of idea, concept, or something that will come to your awareness, to your knowledge through various sources that will allow you to have a light bulb moment. Something is going to go off and you're going to say to yourself, that's it. For some of you, it felt very much an energetic shift was going to take place, where all of a sudden you're going to feel the difference in the way you feel, but also in the way you are wanting to portray yourself going forward. What did I say here? I also saw, so this, the last comment also came with, the energy shift came with, for some of you, if you are working in a healing industry, let's put it that way, psychics, mediums, healers, anything to do with esoteric component, I feel that many of you will be inspired to do something new with brand new gifts that you will feel you are acquiring. So some of you, this may happen through you learning something, a brand new skill or a brand new skill. And for some of you, you will become aware, because I'm seeing the third eye, you will become aware of a brand new of seeing the world and relating to the world, and that in itself is going to be some sort of a gift that you will be able to then take forward in the future and implement it in your current work. This could also mean that many of you may find yourself in a situation where you will be detaching from what you used to do in everyday world, the mundane work, and you are going to start shift into work that feels much more meaningful to you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be an esoteric type of work, but something that is much more heart connected or much more energetically connected with you, passionately connected, because I saw fire. I saw a lot of fire in you. So it feels like many of you, particularly healers, I want to say, which is something I normally don't, talk about, will feel like there's going to be a fundamental shift. And with that shift, you will be recognizing different aspects of you that either were dormant or you were not aware of before, or you didn't realize you had. And I'm particularly talking about gifts and skills. Because of all of that expansion, I saw that you are going to be setting up the stage as to how to later at some point display all those skills. So it's very interesting dynamic, because it feels like a tremendous shift is happening. For some of you, you may have been feeling this shift for quite some time, but I feel this is going to happen on even deeper level. And I believe that we get these shifts in stages, because they're saying to me, if it happened all at once, it would be very detrimental to the physical body. So changes come as energetic shifts, and if we are bombarded with an influx of a lot of energy, our physical body, which is also an energetic vehicle, there could be a bit of a problem. So if we are not energetically ready, if we're not ready as a vehicle to receive a certain energy, the metaphor is plugging a 220 volt into a 110 volt socket is going to cause potential problems, and it's going to go zzz. So you understand what I'm talking about. So I do feel that many of you, and well, me perhaps, will be receiving much more information intuitively, which is the same as saying there will be energetic shifts that will allow you to almost like take the blindfolders off. Many of you have had blindfolders on, not knowing where you're going and what to do with it all. But this is going to become much more clear to you. You will crystallize a lot of your ideas that you will potentially put into practical use down the road. Now, what did I write here? Okay, yes, so waiting for, many of you have been waiting for this for a long time. Now, what do I mean when I say long time? For some of you, it's months. For some of you, it's years. But it feels to me like you have been waiting for this opportunity for quite some time. So this doesn't necessarily have to be now only about esoteric work. but this message covers a lot of that. It could also be many of you are in a process of transition between one aspect of career to another, and you're going to land something in a near future, pretty close. Like I'm seeing this within the next couple of months. And this is a time of preparation. I also saw many of you reaching for books, and I saw a gallery of books, and you're reaching high for books that are on top. All that signifies to me as a metaphor is that many of you will be involving yourself in some sort of an important research. The books on top of the shelf signify to me that this material is quite substantial, but this material is not available to everyone because not everyone will be able to understand. So it's almost like the information you are seeking is of a higher caliber that not everyone has the privy to understanding it or translating it into mundane words. So this can be interpreted in regular type of environment, but it can certainly be interpreted in an esoteric component. So there's very much a spiritual spin to this, which is the first sign that I've done, and I'm almost done all of them, where this sort of energy is being shown to me, and there has a lot of spiritual component. That doesn't mean that all the other signs are not going through spiritual shift. Absolutely. But many of you, looks like those who are Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign, seem to be doing a lot of healing. But of course, that's not just Taurus. So preparation time, yes, I wrote this. I also saw you involved in directing or organizing, putting structures forward so that eventually, again, you will use your big fish or your luck or your gifts down the road. So there's definitely a preparatory period, but it feels a little bit busier than the last couple of months where it was just kind of a status quo. And I feel he's reminding me that I think on the last month I said that you will start to see little crumbs being shown in front of you just to give you a bit of a enticing sense of what's to come. And I feel in the month of November and some December, you will actually feel the significance of what the crumbs represented. I also saw that whatever structures you are putting forward are meant to showcase your talents going forward. So this can mean, again, information you receive intuitively. This could be information you acquire from gathering information, from resources, from learning certain things. Some of you may have gone to school for quite some time in order to do retraining, and now you're getting to the point where you're getting ready to put your brand new training, brand new skill into the practical world, but that time isn't quite yet. It's almost there, but it's not quite yet. But you're making preparations in order for that to happen. So on the mundane level, it can mean that you're preparing resumes, you are looking at which company, agency, environment you want to work for, choosing perhaps where you want to live. It could be as mundane as that. And on the flip side of things, it could be that you are trying to figure out how you are going to use your skills and gifts, particularly when it comes to your spiritual gifts, in the physical world, especially if you are choosing to let go of the traditional work space or workforce and move into something that resembles more of what your heart is calling you to do. And I'm not saying that heart calling work is only esoteric or spiritual. I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying that I seem to be talking to two different groups of people, those who are spiritually guided at this point and those who are learning something new, but doesn't have to be necessarily under the spiritual umbrella, if that makes any sense. Let's see what else I said. I also sensed there was a sense of completion. So the month of November offers a sense of completion, and the completion that I felt was that the wait is almost over. You are about to complete a very rough period of your life for some of you, emotionally speaking, where the significant amount of information that you will be receiving through the shift of energy will allow you to let go the rest of the crap, if you will, that you have been holding on, but ultimately has been holding you down like an anchor would. Now, what did I see here? I saw a frog. So many of you had to go through a process of emotional and spiritual cleanse. And this was shown to me in the past, which tells me that for those of you who this makes sense, you have very recently have gone through a spiritual and emotional cleanse. And the cards actually speak to that. So that was fantastic. I saw the books. We talked about that. And the other thing that I saw, let me just see, books with, yes. Some of the books that I saw you reaching for, and again, books are a metaphor for information, but some of that information has been written long time ago, or there's an aspect of you looking back in time and resurfacing old information that for the most part is now thought as being irrelevant or is considered to be dormant, not important, or outdated. So that's going to be not for all of you, obviously, it's going to be for some of you, but there's definitely an element of research into something that happened in the past. And I particularly want to say when it comes to esoteric, but it can also be in a very real, very practical form as well. And I saw you tending to flowers, and that had two meanings for me right off the bat. So flowers are a product of germination. So the germination part has happened. Now you are looking at the gifts of the incubation process, which has taken some time, and now you're seeing the beauty, which is the flower. You're seeing the end result, and you're tending to it, which told me that you are going to be nurturing. So you may have now new information, you may have now new gifts, you may have now new awareness, but you will be working on nurturing that aspect of you in whatever way, shape, and form that comes to you. The other part of the message was that I was taken directly to spring, because the type of flowers that I saw are specific for spring. So something around spring is going to be moving, and I just heard the word major. So for many of you, there is a major fundamental change that will transpire. I heard the month of May, but I'm going to say in early spring. So let's just say in spring. Now the change is good change. It's significant. For many of you, it's life-changing. It feels very big, structurally speaking. It is, I'm almost feeling a little bit apprehensive, and I feel, can I do this? Can I do this? So it sounds like many of you might be presented with opportunities of a lifetime. And this is what just came to me. When I added all the numbers, it was interesting because it came to number 11, which is balance, justice. It's the cause and effect. And the number 2, when you reduce 1 and 1 to 1 digit, it's 2. So there's definitely a sense of balance, but there's definitely a sense of choosing what direction you're going to take your new gifts. So that was channeled. Now let me go through the cards very quickly. I have a whole bunch of them because they all fell out together, so I wanted to know. I wanted to keep them. What you are leaving behind, 3 cards came up. The throat chakra, heart chakra, and 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So right off the bat, the moment I saw this, I felt that many of you have, in a recent past, learned how to use your voice appropriately, or learned how to use your voice again. Many of you have come into your own in the last little while, in the last few months. And that came with a sense of courage and with a sense of appreciation of who you are. The throat chakra, or the heart chakra in reverse, tells me that you have had to do a lot of healing, which is interesting because the frog was shown to me, which is a symbol of emotional cleanse and spiritual cleanse. So many of you have been going through a lot of turmoil in the last little while. Some of you few weeks, few months, some of you few years. And it wasn't easy. And I'm seeing here that, they're showing me a vision of carrying eggs and then you're dropping them. It's like, oh shit, excuse my French. God, I dropped an egg. So basically it tells me that it represented moments at times where it was quite difficult, very frustrating. And there were moments where you wanted to give up. You're leaving that behind. The Five of Pentacles in reverse tells me that you are recovering from debt. So your financial situation is about to improve. It is, there were changes for some of you. For some of you, there was a resistance around change. And this could be because you were changing jobs. Job was changing you. Whatever it is, point is that you're leaving a lot of financial struggles behind. And when that happens, particularly for a Taurus, I believe, we want to celebrate, right? Because, nobody wants to deal with stress around finances. But, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So that's what you're leaving behind. Fantastic. I'm hearing learn how to use your voice effectively. So some of you are definitely moving into a leader position, whether it is you're at your work, whether it's something you're going to do for yourself, whether it's something you're going to be part of here next year. Learn how to use your voice effectively. A lot of you will be working in an environment where you will be able to empower other people. Does it have to be a counselor? Does it have to be a public speaker? Not at all. But you will be put in a position. The universe will, I'm going faster because I'm seeing this is getting long. The universe will put you in a position where you will effectively learn how to speak your truth. And by speaking your truth, you will be able to empower others. And I hear the words en masse, which is, I never use those two words. So for some of you, it will be public speaking, no question about it. There's a book that's coming up here, a book that's going to be published, or some of you will be publishing a book. So that's that. In a position of now, I'm going a little bit faster. You have two cards. Fantastic. Transformation, which is the death, a spiritual death, and you have Three of Swords in reverse. What this is telling me is that you're letting go of emotional pain. You're letting go of past resentment. You're letting go of triggers that were a permanent part of your life for quite a long time, and you are letting that go. Doesn't surprise me because, again, you have the frog, which is emotional clearing or cleanse that you were going through. This is also causing, or this is also a cause for celebration because you guys are going through a death. Remember when I said that you will be, not a physical death, where you will be feeling another shift, and the shifts happen in layers, where there seems to be another layer coming up again in the month of November. And I want to say first week of December. So over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. So expect to be rattled, but when I say that, and I don't mean it necessarily in a bad way, expect to feel slightly off. And I hear the words end of November, okay? Now, what is influencing all of this? You're wanting to feel powerful. You have come to recognize, many of you, your own sense of value, which has given you a sense of inner power. Not the type of power that you bully people with. That is not power, that's weakness. I'm talking about the true, eternal, never-ending, no beginning and no end power within. And many of you, you've planted seeds a long time ago. Many of you have been working on this for a long time. You've been consistent with this. And now it's coming to surface. I hear the word survival. Many of you are survivors. You have gone through a lot of turmoil and a lot of, excuse my French, shit, I don't always swear, on videos. And you're starting to come out on the other side with renewed sense of feeling and knowing who you are, which is very different for many of you than what you've been used to. What is in front of you? Two cards, seventh chakra and Two of Wands in reverse. So when I saw this card, and the meaning for the card that I'm going to give is not a traditional meaning, I don't think. I hear the words, the wait is over. But the traditional time meaning of this card means that you may have a slight qualm about knowing where you're going. So there might be a bit of a block, a bit of a stumble with not knowing, practically speaking, what to do with it all. But we talked about that. And I feel that's what I know it's temporary. Some of you, this is going to be caused by emotional stress. Well, you are going through, death. And some of you, it's going to be caused by inspiration, an influx of inspiration, and you're just not going to know quite what to do with it all. The point here is be persistent in what you're trying to achieve, whatever that is for you, and be persistent with having a long-term goal. As you know, whatever is your goal, be persistent in connecting with that, and the rest is going to work itself out. I'm also being shown a carpet rolled out in front of you, which tells me you're just about ready to take the stage, and that is a metaphor. 2 more cards. When I said what do they have to focus on, the first card is called Reflection. Beautiful card. And as you see, Ganesha is sitting here and he's contemplating beautiful jewels everywhere. There's a lot of yellow and purple, which is creativity, solar plexus, and higher awareness. 7th chakra. This is about reflecting upon where you come from. Letting go of resistance. Recognizing aspects of you that were dormant, but also aspects of you that have kept you down. And what I'm being shown here is bringing old wounds to the surface and caring for it as if they were your little child. It's an interesting thing that's being shown to me. Rejection. Okay. Many of you are very, very hard on yourself, very critical of yourself, and it stems from rejection. Now, as human beings, every single human being has experienced rejection on some level. No question about it. This is deep rejection that you have experienced at some point, most likely in your childhood. Some of you as early as age 5, some of you earlier, where it has affected you to the point that it had crippled you, because that rejection has defined you, who you are, and therefore how you perceive yourself, and therefore what you do in the world. And you are looking at that aspect of you and saying, I no longer choose to let that part of me rule my life. Beautiful, beautiful message. The other card is round and round, and it's in reverse. And this card is basically saying, if some of you are finding yourself in a similar situation that seems eerily similar, you now have better tools to be able to look at the situation from your past and draw some conclusions or lessons, some valuable lessons from it. So if you are finding yourself in going through a cycle where you're thinking, why am I finding myself here again? Like, what's with this? It's about recognizing that we create our reality, and therefore we are responsible for the most part for what is in front of us. So those 2 cards I see as very similar. One says, if you find yourself in the situation, it's because there's a lesson here to be learned. So learn it so you don't have to do it again. And the other one is the rejection component. If you have been feeling stuck, if you have been feeling less than, if you have been feeling unloved, unvalued, not respected, then that will completely change the way you look at the world and how you perceive yourself, and therefore what you will attract for yourself. So there's not a bad message here, but it is about recognizing certain truths that sometimes we don't want to pay attention to. And then I'm seeing the number 9 with this, which says you're about to end a huge cycle, a very important cycle. And he says to me, self-recognition. So many of you will become, you will recognize your worth. For many of you, for the very first time. And that is a beautiful message. And with that, I want to end because it's already going over. The one thing I want to say, because he's asking me to say this, when we begin to recognize our own truth and our own value, our gifts will come up to surface. Because if we don't feel valuable, if we don't feel like we value ourselves, if we don't feel worthy, if we have gifts, we're not going to use them because we're not going to be able to be confident in expressing those gifts. So that's a really important message. I hope this made sense. If it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning of the month, look at it at the end of the month, because that's often the case. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing. I always say, without you, I wouldn't do this. And this means the world to me because I love empowering you. I wish you a wonderful month of November. If you want to connect with me personally, because this is a general reading, you can reach me. That information is down below for you. I wish you a wonderful month of November. Take care of yourself and good luck.